Colin Crowell is a local photographer as well as photography instructor at Sault College. His work is now on display at the Cameracraft Gallery at 716 Queen Street East.
The idea, the inspiration behind is I've been photographing for years. I've just the last couple of years realized how much I enjoy nighttime. Daytime, everything we see is lit from one direction, the sun, that big glowing hot thing up in the air. And so the shadows only fall one way, the color is all even. But if you come out at nighttime, first off, there's nobody there. I started doing that when I was like 13 years old, is sneaking out and taking nighttime walks, and it's empty and it's quiet. And the other is things that are boring, I find look beautiful sometimes. Just the matter of a light weirdly placed and how it falls on, again, an object that is otherwise boring can all of a sudden become really interesting, visually interesting and creative. And so the whole idea of this show is putting together a bunch of nightscapes that I accumulated over the last 2.5 years, kind of showing off this, maybe normal being shown in almost like a different world is the idea. Yeah, it's dark, and so it's finding a way to be able to get that exposure, and often it's taking a lot of time. Most of the exposures for this series are 30 seconds. Some of them are 20 minutes, and just to be able to draw in the light. Some of them play with movement. I've got a few images here that play with elements like moving water under street lights. And by leaving it open for a really long time, it kind of smooths it out and butters it and gives it a really interesting feel. Again, something surreal that normally it's just running water. But with those street lights and that long amount of time, it turns into something interesting. Car trails as well. I've got a few compositions here. I like the aspect of leaving the shutter open and letting transports and cars go by while I'm sitting on the side of the highway, and the fact that their light moves through the scene and paints almost everything in the photograph. Some of these shots, literally, it is just hitting a button once, finding the right exposure, hitting the button, waiting 20, 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and that could be it. A lot of the other ones here, the only real light in the image could be the sky, and everything else is manufactured. So I bring flashes in. Sometimes I'll bring glowing lamps in. I bring all kinds of different light sources in, and that's another thing I love about nighttime is it's like bringing the world into my dark studio. When all the lights are off and there's no sun, then I get to create and I get to paint on a larger scale than I normally would in a studio, where it's a few items or a person. I get to paint a landscape with light, and that excites me. It's a lot of control. I'm lucky enough in my life to be surrounded by 30 to 40 students at a time that are so fresh and so eager to learn, and that's contagious. So by being surrounded by these students, watching their creativity, watching them do things that I've never seen anybody do before, and helping them to get better in a guilty way, it gets me going. I get home at the end of the day some days and I'm just dying to get out shooting myself because I'm so charged creatively. It's so accessible. Cameras are everywhere now. If you have a phone, you have a camera. If you don't have a phone, I bet you there's somebody in your family that their phone has replaced an old camera. There are cameras everywhere, and that's one of the biggest steps. It is so ridiculously accessible. It's not very expensive anymore, and you don't really have to have any skill to start. And whether you're traipsing through the bush trying to follow animals, or you're knocking on doors trying to get access to a location, or you stay in your living room and using window light photograph an arrangement of objects that mean something to you, it's a chance to create something and put it on your wall. And one that, again, it's the ability to learn, and that every shot you take helps you get better. And I have troubles finding something that's so easy to get into and easy to grow and rewarding in the long run because of it.
Colin's gallery will be on display till November 16th, so make sure to drop by Cameracraft and check out some of his work. For Shaw TV, I'm David Carlasio.